There are places in this world that feel less like countries and more like dreams, where the wind whispers through forgotten ruins and the desert glows like fire under an endless sky, where oceans meet empires and every grain of sand holds a memory of kings, poets, and travelers who never left. This is Tunisia, a land of contrasts and illusions, where blue doors open to whitewashed worlds, where ancient cities sleep beneath the stars, and where life blooms in the silence of the Sahara. It's a place between worlds, between Africa and the Mediterranean, past and present, myth and reality. And tonight, we'll go beyond the postcards to discover a side of Tunisia that feels unreal. Prepare to lose yourself in a story carved by wind, water, and time. A country where the desert meets the sea, where ruins whisper forgotten tales, and where every horizon feels like another world. Introduce Tunisia's dual identity, the bridge between Africa and the Mediterranean, ancient and modern, mystical and real. There's a place where the desert touches the sea, where history sleeps beneath golden dunes, and the wind whispers stories from 1,000 years ago. This is Tunisia, a land that feels both lost in time and alive with wonder. Here, every grain of sand, every crumbling stone, and every ripple of turquoise water seems to hold a secret. The kind of secret that calls to the traveler's heart, the secret of beauty untouched and mystery unspoken. At first glance, Tunisia is a mirage, a shimmering blur between two worlds. To the north, the Mediterranean glows like liquid sapphire, calm and endless. To the south, the mighty Sahara stretches into infinity, sculpted by the wind and scorched by the Sunday. Between them lies a world of contrast, ancient cities that rise from ruins, villages carved into the earth, and oases that bloom in the middle of nowhere. This is not just a country, it's a living story, written in sand, stone, and spirit. As the morning sun breaks over the coast, the call to prayer echoes softly through the air, mixing with the cry of seabirds and the whisper of palms. The journey begins here in a land once ruled by empires, where Phoenicians, Romans, and Berbers built their dreams under the same eternal sky. Tunisia is small on the map, but vast in soul, a crossroads of civilizations where Africa meets Europe and the desert meets the sea. Look closer, and you'll see its rhythm, the gentle clash of old and new. Fishermen cast their nets, just as their ancestors did centuries ago, while in the cities, modern life hums beneath arches built by the Romans. The medinas, those labyrinths of narrow alleys and blue doors, are alive with fragrance and sound. Spices, leather, incense, and mint tea, the laughter of merchants, the hum of artisans shaping metal, weaving carpets, or carving olive wood. Every turn of a corner reveals something unexpected, a glimpse into Tunisia's soul. But beyond the cities lies another Tunisia, wild, quiet, eternal, the one the world rarely sees. Travel south, and the landscapes begin to shift. The olive groves fade into desert plains, and the air grows warmer, thicker, filled with a silence that feels almost sacred. The Sahara begins to whisper its call. It's here, in this meeting of worlds, that Tunisia's true essence begins to unfold, a country that refuses to be defined by borders or time. The dunes of Douz rise like sleeping giants under a vast, endless sky. They move and change shape with the wind, alive in their own rhythm. Travelers who venture here describe a feeling that words can't hold, the humbling vastness, the golden light, the peace that only silence can bring. And just when it seems that nothing can survive here, life appears: a caravan of camels, a lone Bedouin tent, a palm tree standing tall in defiance of the Sunday. The desert is not empty. It breathes with stories, old as the earth itself. But Tunisia is not only desert, it's water, too, the deep blue of the Mediterranean, the glitter of salt lakes that turn pink under the setting Sunday. It's mountains and cliffs, forests and fields of jasmine. It's the sound of the wind over ancient stones, The music of the oud drifting through the streets at night and the laughter of children echoing off whitewashed walls. This land has seen conquerors and dreamers, poets and prophets. Carthage once ruled the seas from here. The Romans built roads and amphitheaters that still stand proud against time. The Berbers carried their traditions across the dunes, and the Arabs brought faith and art that shaped the very soul of Tunisia. Centuries later, all those layers remain like the pages of a living history book, written in color and carved in stone. And as the sun sets over the coast, painting the sky in fire and gold, you begin to understand. Tunisia is not just a place to see, it's a place to feel. It's the warmth of its people, the blend of cultures that harmonize like music, and the quiet strength of a land that has endured and thrived through everything. In the glow of twilight, the call to prayer rises once more, echoing through the ancient ruins and over the sea. The journey has just begun through lost cities, hidden oases, and deserts that hold the memory of eternity. Tunisia, the land of hidden mirages, is ready to reveal its secrets. Journey to the legendary ruins of Carthage, where once one of the greatest empires of the ancient world ruled the seas. Explore its temples, forums, and harbors as the wind carries whispers of Dido and Hannibal across time. There are places in the world where time never truly moves forward. It lingers, it breathes, it remembers. And here, in Carthage, the past still walks among the ruins. This is where it all began, the birthplace of a civilization that rivaled Rome itself, a city of power, passion, and tragedy. Standing on these ancient stones, you don't just see history, you feel it, pulsing beneath your feet like a memory carved into the earth. Once, this was one of the greatest cities on earth. Founded nearly 3,000 years ago by Phoenician settlers from Tyre, Carthage rose from a humble coastal colony to a mighty maritime empire. Its ships ruled the Mediterranean. Its wealth flowed from trade, gold, silver, ivory, spices, and stories crossing the seas to every corner of the ancient world. The city glittered with temples, markets, and harbors so vast that even Rome, its greatest rival, trembled at its name. But Carthage was not just powerful, it was alive with spirit. The people who built it were masters of the sea, traders and dreamers, inventors and warriors. They worshipped gods born from the desert and the waves, and their devotion shaped the skyline, grand sanctuaries, towering gates, and wide boulevards that echoed with life. The rhythm of hammers, the cry of merchants, the crash of the surf, all of it blending into the heartbeat of a civilization that burned brighter than most before it fell. And at its heart was a legend, the story of Queen Dido, a woman who fled her homeland to found this city of destiny, a queen of courage and heartbreak. Her tale was immortalized by poets, a story of love and loss that became the soul of Carthage itself. To stand among the ruins of Bursa Hill today, where her palace once stood, is to stand between myth and memory. The view from here stretches endlessly toward the blue horizon, the same sea that carried Dido's dreams and Rome's wrath. But Carthage's glory was not meant to last. Its rise was met with envy, and its pride met with fire. Rome, threatened by Carthage's power, waged a series of brutal wars known as the Punic Wars, conflicts that would decide the fate of the ancient Mediterranean. The name that shook the world then was Hannibal, the Carthaginian general who crossed the Alps with elephants, defying logic, defying fear, and nearly conquering Rome itself. His name still carries the thunder of history. His brilliance turned Carthage into legend, and his fall turned it into tragedy. When Rome finally came for Carthage, it came not as an enemy but as a force of destruction. In 146 BCE, the city was besieged, burned, and reduced to ash. They say the Romans salted the earth so nothing would grow again. But even salt cannot kill memory. Out of the ashes, Carthage lived on, rebuilt, reimagined, reborn. The ruins that remain today, bathed in sunlight and silence, are the echoes of both worlds. Carthage the conqueror, and Carthage, the conquered. Walk through the ruins now, and you'll hear the hum of eternity. The amphitheater, where voices once rose in song and cheers. The Roman baths, massive and elegant, where the scent of oil and sea once mingled. The harbor, still curving perfectly as it did millennia ago, where fleets once set sail under crimson dawns. You can almost see it, the sails catching the wind, the city alive with color and power, the heartbeat of empire in every corner. And yet, there's something hauntingly peaceful about it all. Flowers grow between the cracks of ancient stones. The sea laps gently against the foundations of what was once the mightiest port in Africa. Children play among the ruins, unaware that they walk through the ghosts of gods and kings. Life has returned quietly, beautifully. Carthage did not die. It simply became eternal. The people of Tunisia still speak of Carthage, not as a ruin, but as a legacy. A reminder that greatness isn't measured in what lasts forever, but in what inspires. Carthage's spirit continues to flow through Tunis, through every soul that walks these lands, through every dreamer who dares to build something magnificent from nothing. As the sun sets over the Gulf of Tunis, the city glows once more in gold. The waves glisten like molten light, and the ruins cast long shadows toward the sea. For a moment, you can almost see it, the mighty city of Carthage rising from the depths, its harbor alive, its temples shining. Then, as night falls, it fades again into memory, waiting for the world to remember. Dive into Tunisia's capital, where old meets new, the Medina's narrow lanes filled with spice, color, and call to prayer, merging with the modern rhythms of a city alive with art and energy. Capture the cultural heartbeat of Tunisia's transformation. Every great nation has a soul. For Tunisia, that soul is found here, in the rhythm of its capital, a city where ancient whispers mingle with modern life, and every street tells a story carved from the layers of history. Tunis is not just a city. It's an experience alive with the pulse of North Africa, yet touched by the winds of Europe and the spirit of the East. Step into the Medina, the old city, and it feels as though time folds back upon itself. Narrow alleys twist like veins, carrying the lifeblood of centuries. The walls are close, painted in soft, white, and faded ochre, punctuated by doors of brilliant blue, each one a secret, each one a story. The scent of jasmine mixes with spices, saffron, cumin, and dried rose petals. Vendors call out, their voices rising like a song. Carpets, lanterns, leatherwork, silver filigree, everything here glows with craftsmanship that feels almost sacred. It's chaotic, yes, but beautifully so. The Medina of Tunis is not meant to be walked through in haste. It's meant to be felt. Every turn reveals something unexpected. A sudden courtyard filled with sunlight, a doorway to an ancient mosque, a hidden cafe where locals sip mint tea beneath flowering vines. The sound of footsteps echoes softly against the cobblestones, blending with laughter, prayer, and music from a distant oud. At the center stands the great mosque of Zitouna, the Olive Tree Mosque. Its name alone carries poetry. Built over 1,000 years ago, it remains one of the spiritual and intellectual centers of North Africa. From its minaret, the call to prayer drifts across the city like a timeless song, reminding everyone that amid the rush of the world, there is always stillness, always faith. Step inside, and the sunlight filters through stone arches, illuminating rows of ancient columns, some taken from Roman ruins, others carved by Tunisian hands. Here, past and present breathe the same air. Yet, beyond the Medina's maze, another world unfolds, the modern city of Tunis. Wide boulevards lined with palms and French architecture speak of another era, the colonial past that left its mark, not as a scar, but as part of the city's intricate identity. On Avenue Habib Bourguiba, often called the Champs-Élysées of Africa, cafes hum with conversation, art galleries open their doors, and the scent of fresh pastries floats through the morning air. It's here that you truly see Tunisia's balance old and new, east and west, faith and freedom. Women in flowing traditional dresses walk beside students in jeans and headphones. The call to prayer rises above the sound of car horns. It's not contradiction, it's coexistence. Tunis has learned the art of blending, weaving together its Phoenician, Roman, Arab, Ottoman, and French threads into a fabric uniquely its own. But perhaps the most breathtaking sight of all lies just beyond the city, the blue and white dreamscape of Sidi Bou Said. Perched high above the Mediterranean, this village feels like it was painted by the gods themselves. Blue doors, whitewashed walls, and cobblestone streets win toward breathtaking sea views. Musicians play in the shade, and the scent of jasmine drifts on the wind. It's a place where artists find their muse, where time slows, and the sea whispers secrets to the sky. From this hilltop, the horizon stretches endlessly, the same view that inspired generations of painters, poets, and travelers. As the sun sets, the light turns everything golden. The rooftops shimmer, and the sea becomes a mirror of fire and glass. In that moment, you understand what makes Tunisia's soul so powerful. It's not just its history or its beauty. It's its balance, the ability to hold the ancient and the modern, the sacred and the simple, in perfect harmony. Tunis is a living reflection of the entire country. Proud, yet humble. Rooted, yet reaching for the future. Its people carry a quiet strength, a resilience born from centuries of change. Here, every corner hums with stories. Roman ruins beneath cafe floors, Ottoman palaces turned into art galleries, and whispers of Carthaginian dreams beneath the sand. And at night, when the city lights flicker on, Tunis becomes something ethereal. The Medina glows softly under lantern light, while modern towers glitter in the distance. The sound of prayer, laughter, and life blend into a single melody, timeless, unforgettable. This is not just the capital of Tunisia, it's its beating heart. A city where civilizations have risen and fallen, yet the spirit has never broken. Tunis doesn't belong to one era or one people. It belongs to every soul that has ever sought beauty and contrast, peace and chaos, and identity in the meeting of worlds. Explore one of the most enchanting villages on earth, painted in white and blue like a Mediterranean fairy tale. Tell the story of its artists, poets, and wanderers who came here seeking peace and found magic in simplicity. There are places on this planet that remind us how small we are, and yet how infinite our spirit can be. The Sahara Desert is one of them. It's not just a landscape, it's an awakening. Stretching across southern Tunisia, the Sahara is both a challenge and a sanctuary, a place where the line between reality and dream disappears beneath waves of sand. The journey begins in Douz, often called the gateway to the Sahara. From above, it looks like a mirage, a small town clinging to the edge of infinity. The people here live as they have for generations, guided by the rhythm of the desert. Camels rest in the shade, their silhouettes etched against the orange glow of dawn. The air smells of sand and spice, and the sound of the wind carries stories older than language. Step into the desert, and the world transforms. The dunes rise and fall like an ocean, frozen in motion, sculpted by centuries of wind, shifting, changing, yet eternal. Each step sinks softly into the sand, every footprint erased by the breeze within moments. Here, there are no roads, no borders, no noise, just the sun, the wind, and your heartbeat. The silence is so pure it feels sacred. As you travel deeper, the light changes. The morning glow turns the dunes pale gold, while midday burns them white and the evening sets them ablaze. When the sun dips below the horizon, the sky erupts in color crimson, violet, and deep indigo. And then, the stars appear. Millions of them, clear and cold, stretching from one edge of the world to the other. It's a sight that humbles even the most restless soul. Under this endless dome of light, you begin to understand what solitude truly means. This is the land of the Bedouins nomads who have mastered the language of the desert. Their tents dot the horizon like small anchors in an ocean of sand. They move with the seasons, following their herds, guided by the stars. Around their fires, they share stories of survival, love, and faith tales that carry the wisdom of centuries. When you sit with them, sipping hot tea sweetened with mint, you feel a connection that transcends time. Their laughter is quiet, their hospitality boundless, and their spirit unbreakable. Further south lies Ksar Gilain, a hidden oasis that feels almost mythical. After hours of driving through dunes and dust, it suddenly appears a cluster of date palms surrounding a natural hot spring, a ribbon of green in a sea of gold. Travelers gather here to rest, to bathe in the warm water, and to feel the miracle of life sustained against all odds. Camels kneel by the water's edge, and the air hums with a sense of gratitude. In the desert, nothing is taken for granted, not a drop of water, not a single breath of cool air. But the Sahara is not only about stillness, it's also a place of cinematic wonder. Near the town of Tozeur, a new kind of story unfolds, one written not by nature, but by imagination. Here, in the middle of the desert, lies the ghostly remains of a galaxy far, far away. The abandoned movie set of Star Wars. A New Hope still stands, half buried in sand, the fictional planet Tatooine, born right here in Tunisia. It's a surreal sight. Domed houses and alien streets glowing beneath the desert sun, blending perfectly with the real landscape around them. You realize that the Sahara itself doesn't need special effects. It is the fantasy. And then there's Chad el Djerid, the Great Salt Lake, a world that seems to defy logic. When dry, it's a cracked expanse of white that stretches to the horizon. But when the rains come, it transforms into a shimmering mirror, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it becomes impossible to tell where Earth ends and heaven begins. Travelers have long spoken of mirages here, floating cities, phantom caravans, lakes that vanish when approached. Scientists call it refraction. Locals call it magic. The Sahara of Tunisia holds a strange paradox. It is a place of emptiness, yet it feels full of life. It tests you, humbles you, and then rewards you with peace unlike anything else. The sand may burn your skin, the wind may sting your face, but when night falls and the stars unfold, everything feels worth it. You realize that the desert isn't barren, it's alive, with whispers, with history, with spirit. There is something profoundly human about standing in a place so vast and ancient. You feel your insignificance and your connection to everything. The dunes become your cathedral, the stars your stained glass. In the Sahara, there is no distraction, no noise, just truth. When dawn returns, the first rays of light sweep across the sand, turning it gold again. Camels rise slowly, and the day begins anew the same way it has for millennia. You ride toward the horizon, leaving no trace behind, carrying only the memory of silence. In the heart of Tunisia, where the earth meets the infinite, the Sahara reminds us some worlds aren't meant to be conquered, only understood. Enter the great Tunisian desert, where dunes move like waves and silence becomes music. Discover life among the Bedouins, the oases that bloom like miracles, and the stars that light up the endless night. The screen fades from the endless golden dunes to a ripple of green, a vision so sudden, so alive, it feels like a dream. In the middle of the desert, life appears. Water flows, palms sway, and the air hums with a quiet miracle. This is not an illusion. This is an oasis. When you travel through Tunisia's deserts long enough, you begin to understand the value of contrast, of how beauty is born from hardship. And nowhere is that truth more visible than in the country's legendary oases, lush, living sanctuaries that rise out of the emptiness like emeralds set in gold. These are places that defy reason, where the impossible becomes possible. Here, in the heart of the Sahara, life insists on thriving. The journey begins in Tozeur, a city that seems to exist halfway between heaven and earth. Once a major stop on the ancient caravan routes, Tozeur has always been a meeting point of travelers, of cultures, of civilizations. Its beauty lies not only in its architecture, with walls made of golden brick that glow like honey in the sun, but in its spirit. The sound of water trickling through ancient irrigation channels, the Foghara, fills the air. Narrow alleyways twist between palm-shaded courtyards, and every breeze carries the scent of dates, earth, and something timeless. Tozeur's oasis is vast, a sea of over 400,000 date palms that stretch to the horizon. Beneath their canopy, the desert heat softens into something gentle. Farmers tend to their groves with the same care their ancestors did 1,000 years ago. Each palm is more than a tree, it's a legacy. The dates they produce, especially the famous Deglet Nur, are called fingers of light for their golden translucence. Sweet, soft, and radiant, they are the fruit of resilience, a reminder that even in the harshest land, patience yields sweetness. But beyond Tozeur, deeper into the desert, lie oases that feel like portals to another world. One of them is Chebika, known as the Palace of the Sunday. Hidden at the base of the Jebel El Negev Mountains, Chebika is a breathtaking oasis where cliffs rise in shades of rose and ochre, framing cascades of crystal-clear water. The sound of the waterfall echoes between the canyon walls, mingling with the call of birds and the rustle of palm leaves. The sunlight here is fierce. It paints the rocks with fire, yet the air is cool, filled with the scent of flowing water. Locals say Chebika was once a Roman outpost, and later, a Berber stronghold. Today, it feels like a dream suspended in time, a rare place where nature, history, and peace coexist. Follow the winding paths uphill, and you'll reach a vantage point that overlooks the oasis. From there, the contrast is almost surreal, an explosion of green life, surrounded by nothing but desert and stone. It's as if the earth itself decided to keep a secret here. A message whispered only to those willing to journey far enough to find it. From Chebika, the trail leads to Tamerza, the largest mountain oasis in Tunisia. It's a place of ancient ruins and cascading waterfalls, a city once alive with laughter and prayer, now abandoned but not forgotten. The old village, built from mud and stone, clings to the hillside overlooking a canyon. When rain falls rare and precious water flows down from the cliffs in silvery streams, bringing the land to life, the echo of rushing water fills the valley, and for a few moments, the desert becomes a living symphony. Nearby lies Mirages, perhaps the most dramatic of all. Here, a deep gorge slices through the mountains, its walls towering over a hidden stream that glows turquoise under the sunday. Standing on the edge, you can see layers of time carved into the stone, millions of years of Earth's memory written in silent lines. Filmmakers have long been drawn here. The cliffs of Mirages have served as a backdrop for countless movies, their raw beauty rivaling that of any fantasy world. Yet when you stand there in person, the silence, the vastness, and the feeling of being so small make it real in a way no screen could ever capture. Each of these oases, Tozeur, Chebika, Tamerza, Mirages, tells a story of survival. Together, they form what Tunisians call the three oases of paradise. For those who travel through them, the experience, not just visual, but spiritual. You begin to see how water, the essence of life, shapes everything: the land, the people, their rhythm of living. You understand how fragility and strength are two sides of the same truth. And as the day fades into dusk, the light softens over the palms. The water glows with the last reflections of the Sunday. The air grows cooler, filled with the smell of earth and leaves. A sense of peace settles, the kind that can only be felt in places untouched by hurry or noise. Night arrives quietly. The stars appear again, countless, sharp, eternal, reflected faintly in the pools of the oasis. You realize that the desert, in all its vast silence, has always protected these hidden worlds of life. They are not accidents of geography, they are acts of grace. In Tunisia's Oases, life is not just something that exists, it's something that endures. Here, in the heart of the desert, creation itself whispers, survival is beauty. Descend into the troglodyte homes of Matmata, an otherworldly village carved into the earth. Reveal its deep Berber traditions and how its surreal beauty inspired filmmakers from Star Wars to history itself. The wind sweeps softly across the dunes, carrying whispers of a world long gone. Beneath the sand lie cities older than memory, once alive with voices, now swallowed by silence. In Tunisia, the desert doesn't just stretch endlessly, it hides stories. And if you listen closely enough, you can still hear them faint, eternal echoing through the ruins. Somewhere between time and dust, the forgotten cities of Tunisia wait relics of empires that rose and fell, of people who carved eternity into stone. To walk among these ruins is to walk through the bones of history itself. Every broken column, every crumbled archway, every weathered mosaic tells of civilizations that once thrived here, when North Africa was the beating heart of the ancient world. The journey begins in Douz, one of the most remarkably preserved Roman cities in all of Africa, perhaps even the world. Perched on a hill overlooking rolling valleys, Douz doesn't just exist in the past, it breathes in the present. Its stones still hum with life. Founded long before the Romans arrived, by the Numidian people, Douz later became a jewel of the Roman Empire, a city of culture, of law, of gods and glory. As you walk its ancient streets, you can almost hear the footsteps of senators and scholars. The capital, dedicated to Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, still stands proud, its Corinthian columns reaching for the heavens. Nearby, the theater opens to the landscape, where 3,500 spectators once gathered to watch performances under open skies. Imagine the laughter, the applause, the echoes of music blending with the wind. Even now, if you stand still, you can feel the pulse of that long-lost energy vibrant, alive. Down below, intricate mosaics glimmer faintly under layers of dust, scenes of myth and life immortalized in colored stone. Bathhouses, temples, markets, and villas still hold their structure after nearly 2,000 years. Douz is not a ruin you merely visit. It's a dialogue between what was and what remains. But Douz is only the beginning. Further east lies El Jam, home to the mighty Roman amphitheater, one of the largest ever built, rivaling even the Colosseum of Rome. Its grandeur is staggering. Massive arches frame the desert sky. Corridors once filled with the roar of the crowd stretch endlessly beneath your feet. This is where gladiators fought, not in distant legend, but right here under the Tunisian Sunday. The amphitheater could hold more than 35,000 spectators, a feat of architecture and ambition. Standing in its center, where warriors once awaited their fate, the silence feels overwhelming. Yet it's a sacred silence, not of loss, but of reverence. You can sense the passage of time, the fleeting nature of human glory. Empires rose here, flourished, and vanished. But the stones endure, and in their endurance lies the story of Tunisia itself, a land that remembers. As you journey further south, the Roman influence begins to fade, giving way to something older, something more mysterious. Near the borders of the Sahara, you find the Berber villages of Chenini and Djerba, ancient settlements built into the mountains like living fortresses. Their stone houses, carved into the cliffs, blend so perfectly with the earth that from a distance, they almost disappear. Yet inside, they are alive with the memory of generations who made survival an art form. In Chenini, white-domed mausoleums stand guard over the valley, glowing softly in the sunday. A winding path leads up to the Czar, the old granary, where Berber tribes once stored their grain safe from heat, wind, and time. From the top, the view stretches endlessly, the desert rolling like an ocean of sand and light. In the distance, mirages shimmer like lost dreams. Nearby, Djerba tells a similar story of endurance, of adaptation. The homes here, carved deep into rock, stay cool in the fierce desert heat. Some are still inhabited, though many have been abandoned, leaving behind a haunting beauty. The silence in these villages is unlike any other, not empty, but sacred, filled with the quiet breath of the past. And then there's Tatooine, the city that inspired the name of a galaxy far, far away. Its earth-colored homes, ancient sewer, and surreal landscapes became the backdrop for Star Wars, blending fiction with reality in a way that feels strangely fitting. Because in Tunisia, the line between the real and the unreal is thin. Here, history and myth share the same soil. But perhaps the most mysterious of all are the underground dwellings of Matmata homes dug into the earth to protect against the desert's extremes. From above, you might see only a few holes in the ground. Step closer, and you'll discover entire homes spiraling down around open-air courtyards, cool and quiet beneath the surface. Walking through them feels like stepping into another time or another world. It's a reminder of human ingenuity, of how people have always found ways to coexist with the harshest lands. Each of these forgotten places, Douz, El Jem, Chenini, Djerba, Matmata, tells a different chapter of the same story, that no civilization, no matter how mighty, can escape the passage of time. And yet, in Tunisia, time doesn't erase, it transforms. As the sun sets over the ruins, the sky turns deep gold. The stones glow, almost as if remembering their former glory. The wind rises again, whispering through columns and doorways. You realize that these cities were never truly lost. They simply learned how to live forever, in silence, in sand, and in the echoes of memory. In Tunisia's forgotten cities, the past is never gone. It waits patient, eternal for those who still believe that even in ruin, there is beauty. Journey to the edge of the great desert, where life pulses in contrast: camel caravans, desert festivals, and the wild rhythm of the dunes. Douz becomes a symbol of Tunisia's eternal dance with the desert. Waves roll against the ancient stones, whispering stories older than empires. The sea glows under a sun that never seems to fade, and the air scented with salt, citrus, and history feels alive. Tunisia's Mediterranean coast isn't just beautiful. It's a bridge between continents, between centuries, between worlds. Here, at the edge of Africa, the Mediterranean stretches out like a mirror of eternity. It's the same sea that carried Phoenician traders to distant shores, that saw Roman legions sail for conquest, and that still welcomes fishermen who rise with the dawn to cast their nets into the silver water. The coast of Tunisia is not just a line on a map, it's the living heart of the country, where the rhythm of the sea sets the pace for everything. The journey begins in Sidi Bou Said, a town that feels more like a dream than a place. Perched high above the Gulf of Tunis, its blue and white houses gleam under the sun like fragments of sky and sea made solid. Cobblestone streets wind between flowering bougainvillea, and every turn reveals another perfect view of the ocean below. It's quiet here, timeless, as though life has slowed to match the gentle rhythm of the waves. Artists, poets, and travelers have been coming to Sidi Bou Said for centuries, drawn by its serenity. Some say it's impossible not to fall in love here with the town, with the view, or with life itself. Sit in a cafe overlooking the bay, sip mint tea, and you'll understand. The sound of music drifts through the streets. Cats doze in sunlit corners. The sea glitters endlessly beyond the rooftops. It's a place that feels untouched by time, a haven where beauty itself seems to have settled down to rest. Not far away lies Carthage, a name that still carries the weight of history. Once the mightiest city of the ancient Mediterranean, rival to Rome, Carthage was the jewel of the Phoenician world. From these very shores, fleets of ships once sailed to dominate trade across the sea. But power invites envy, and Carthage fell in fire and fury, destroyed by Rome, then reborn in Roman glory. Today, the ruins of Carthage overlook the same blue waters that once carried its empire. Standing among the remnants of temples and baths, you can almost hear the clash of civilizations, the voices of the past echoing through time. The Antonine Baths, massive and majestic, stretch toward the sea, a testament to human ambition and its inevitable fragility. Carthage is not just a ruin, it's a reminder that all empires, no matter how great, are temporary, but beauty, somehow, endures. Travel further east, and you reach Hammamet, one of Tunisia's most beloved coastal gems. Here, whitewashed buildings with blue shutters hug the curve of the bay, while the scent of jasmine fills the air. The beaches stretch endlessly, kissed by turquoise waves, and the light seems to shimmer differently here. Hammamet has long been a meeting point of cultures, a place where artists, dreamers, and wanderers have gathered. Once a quiet fishing village, it has become a sanctuary for those who seek calm, creativity, and the simple joy of life by the sea. But the coast has another face, wild, untamed, and full of mystery. Head north to Cap Bon, the Green Peninsula, where rugged cliffs meet lush fields and the sea roars against rocky shores. The scent of citrus orchards fills the breeze, mingling with sea spray. Tiny villages perch along the cliffs, their houses glowing in the afternoon light. It's a place of contrast, calm beaches giving way to dramatic headlands where nature still commands respect. In Calibia, an ancient fortress stands guard over the coast, its stone walls overlooking the bluest water you can imagine. From the ramparts, the view is infinite, the horizon melting into the sea. Below, fishermen mend their nets while boats sway gently in the harbor. It's simple, honest life, the kind that hasn't changed for generations. Further south, the coast softens again, giving way to Mahdia, a city built on a narrow peninsula reaching into the sea like a ship of stone. Its old Medina is a labyrinth of white walls and narrow lanes, and its harbor still echoes with the sound of waves and prayer. Mahdia was once a pirate stronghold, then a Fatimid capital, a place where history and myth are inseparable. At night, the lighthouse stands like a guardian of the past, casting its beam over the waters as it has for centuries. And finally, there's Monastir, where modernity and heritage blend in harmony. Its Ribat, a fortress monastery overlooking the sea, stands as one of Tunisia's most iconic landmarks. Built in the 8th century, its golden walls glow in the sunlight, watching over a coastline where fishermen, pilgrims, and travelers have always gathered. From its towers, you can see both the vastness of the sea and the expanse of history. As the sun begins to sink over Tunisia's coast, the Mediterranean transforms. The light deepens into amber and rose. The water shimmers like molten glass, and the horizon fades into dream. The sea, the same sea that has witnessed millennia of change, remains constant. It carries whispers of Carthage, songs from Sidi Bou Said, and prayers from the fishermen of Mahdia. And as darkness falls, the sound of waves becomes the heartbeat of the night. Lanterns flicker in the distance. Somewhere, the wind carries the faint melody of an oud, ancient, haunting, eternal. This is Tunisia's soul, not in its cities or its sands, but in the eternal embrace of its sea, where the past meets the present, and every wave carries a story that never ends. Uncover the lush palm groves and ancient medinas of Tozeur, a paradise born in the desert. Explore its labyrinthine streets, its poetic charm, and the natural wonders that rise from dust and Sunday. Wind rushes through narrow mountain passes. The call of distant shepherds echoes across the ridges, and somewhere high above, sunlight paints gold across stone villages that seem carved from the mountains themselves. This is where Tunisia's heartbeat slows, deepens, and reveals its truest rhythm, the Berber heart, hidden in the peaks and valleys that time forgot. Far from the coastal cities and desert dunes lies a world few travelers ever see: the Atlas Mountains of Tunisia. They rise like ancient guardians, their slopes covered in olive trees, almond blossoms, and the scent of wild thyme. The people here, descendants of the Amazigh, or Berbers, have lived on this land for thousands of years, long before Rome, before Carthage, before any empire claimed these hills. Their traditions, language, and way of life are living echoes of Tunisia's deepest roots. The journey begins in the Douz Mountains, where winding roads cling to steep cliffs, leading to villages so remote they appear suspended between earth and sky. In the village of Takruna, perched high on a rocky hill, time seems to have stopped. Its stone houses rise layer upon layer, glowing warm and golden under the North African Sunday. From the summit, the view stretches endlessly: the fertile plains below, the shimmering line of the sea beyond, and the silence that wraps everything in a kind of sacred peace. Takruna's people are Amazigh Berber descendants, who speak a dialect older than Arabic, older even than Latin. They live simply, growing olives and grains, weaving carpets, telling stories by the fire at night. Their traditions are passed not through books or monuments, but through song, gesture, and memory. You can feel that living history in every handshake, every smile, every quiet nod of greeting. Further west, the land grows wilder. The mountains twist and turn, forming deep ravines and forests of oak and pine. Here lies Kesra, one of the highest villages in Tunisia. Its stone terraces cling to the mountainside, overlooking valleys that seem to stretch forever. In the morning light, mist rises from the fields like a veil, and the distant sound of goats' bells fills the air. Life here is not easy. Winters can be cold and harsh, but it is grounded, resilient, proud. The people of Kesra still gather at the local spring to draw water, still celebrate ancient festivals tied to the seasons, still bake bread in clay ovens warmed by olive wood. It's a rhythm of life that modernity has not erased, because here, tradition is not nostalgia, it's survival. Venture even deeper, and you find yourself in Matmata, one of Tunisia's most surreal and otherworldly landscapes. Beneath the surface of the desert hills, families live in troglodyte houses, homes carved directly into the earth. Circular pits open to the sky, surrounded by rooms hollowed into the walls. From above, they're nearly invisible, a network of hidden dwellings that merge seamlessly with the land. This ancient architectural style, dating back thousands of years, was born from necessity to escape the searing heat of summer and the cold of winter. The thick earthen walls regulate temperature naturally, keeping the interiors cool and quiet. Walking through one of these underground homes feels like stepping into another era, or perhaps another world entirely. It's no wonder filmmakers once came here to shoot scenes for Star Wars, capturing the uncanny beauty of Matmata's sunken courtyards and tunnel-like passages. But beyond the cinematic intrigue, this place carries a deeper truth, a testament to human ingenuity and harmony with nature. The Berber people didn't conquer their environment. They learned to live within it. Nearby, in the village of Djerba, abandoned stone houses tumble down the slopes like the remnants of a forgotten civilization. Once bustling with families, now it stands silent, a ghostly reflection of what was. Yet even here, echoes of life remain: a child's footprint hardened in the dust, a doorway framed in light, the whisper of wind moving through empty rooms. The Berber heart beats softly still, even in ruins. But to understand these mountains, you must feel their spirit, not just their beauty. The Amazigh people believe that every rock, every spring, every olive tree holds a soul. Nature is not separate from them. It is sacred. You see it in the way they walk the land, with reverence. You hear it in their ancient songs, sung in a language that carries the rhythm of the earth itself. As the sun sets over the peaks, the light turns honey gold, bathing the hills in warmth. Smoke curls gently from chimneys. Women in brightly woven shawls return from the fields, their laughter rising into the dusk. Somewhere, a shepherd plays a reed flute, the notes floating across the valleys like a lullaby. In this quiet twilight, Tunisia reveals a side unseen, one not shaped by empires or monuments, but by memory, endurance, and soul. The Berber heart is not something you visit. It's something you feel, a deep, unbroken connection between land and life, past and present. These are not just hills and valleys. They are living poems written by time, guarded by people who have never forgotten who they are. In their faces, in their songs, and in their silence, the spirit of Tunisia still speaks, eternal, enduring, and free. Sail to the island where time slows down, Djerba, a tapestry of beaches, markets, and myth. Connected with Homer's land of the lotus eaters, blending legend with reality in a place where the Mediterranean feels eternal. The horizon burns gold. Wind whips across dunes that stretch to infinity. And from somewhere deep within the silence of the Sahara comes a whisper, ancient, sacred, and eternal. This is not just the desert of Tunisia. This is its soul. A place where time stands still, where the sands remember everything. The Sahara, the word alone, conjures images of endless dunes, blazing suns, and lonely travelers crossing oceans of sand. But here in southern Tunisia, the desert tells a deeper story. It is not empty, it is alive. It holds centuries of history, faith, and mystery buried beneath its shifting surface. The journey begins in Douz, known as the gateway to the Sahara. From the moment you arrive, you feel it, that vast, humbling expanse beyond the horizon calling your name. The wind carries whispers of nomadic caravans, camel bells, and Bedouin songs. Every grain of sand feels sacred, like it has seen things no human could ever fully understand. Douz is where life and desert meet in fragile balance. Date palms rise from the dunes, forming oases that shimmer like illusions. Families here have tended these groves for generations, coaxing green life from golden emptiness. Their hospitality is legendary, a cup of mint tea offered not as a gesture, but as a sacred duty. In the desert, kindness is survival. At sunset, the dunes of Jebel National Park turn into a world painted in fire and shadow. The sand glows deep orange, then fades into violet as night descends. The stars appear not a handful, but billions, so bright they seem close enough to touch. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a river of light, and for a moment, you understand why ancient travelers called this land God's mirror. Further west, the dunes grow wilder, larger Grand Erg Oriental, one of the Sahara's greatest seas of sand. It's a place where reality seems to dissolve. The silence here is profound, so complete that you can hear your own heartbeat. There are no roads, no boundaries, only shifting waves of gold sculpted by the wind. Nomadic tribes once roamed this desert freely, guiding their camels by stars and instinct. Today, only a few remain families who still live in woven tents, moving with the rhythm of the seasons. They rise with the dawn, drink strong coffee sweetened with dates, and speak softly to their animals as the light spills over the dunes. Their lives are simple, yet infinitely rich. Because here, every sunrise is a miracle, every sip of water, a blessing. But amid the silence, there are whispers of something deeper, the sacredness of the Sahara. For centuries, Sufi mystics have wandered these sands seeking divine truth, believing that the desert strips away all illusion, leaving only the essence of the soul. To walk into the desert, they said, is to walk closer to God. In the Zargalain oasis, that sacredness becomes visible, a hidden paradise, where emerald water glimmers among palms, surrounded by endless dunes. Hot springs bubble up from beneath the earth, offering warmth and life in a place that should have none. Travelers bathe here as the wind sings across the sand, the contrast between fire and water reminding them of life's fragile balance. Nearby, lies an ancient Roman fort, half buried by time. Its weathered stones tell of a frontier once patrolled by soldiers who stood guard at the edge of the known world. Imagine them staring out into the desert, watching the horizon blur, unaware that centuries later their ruins would rest beneath the same unbroken sky. The Sahara holds more than beauty, it holds memory. Fossilized seashells lie scattered among the dunes, reminders that this desert was once an ocean. Beneath your feet are layers of history older than civilization itself. Every gust of wind reshapes the past, erasing one moment, revealing another. And then there's Chott El Djerid, the great salt lake of Tunisia, a place that seems unreal, suspended between earth and sky. During the dry season, it becomes a shimmering mirror, reflecting the clouds and mountains in perfect symmetry. The surface sparkles white and pink, stretching endlessly, creating illusions so vivid you can't tell what's real. Travelers say it's like walking across the sky. Legends say spirits roam this salt, plain guardians of the desert, who test the hearts of those who cross. To venture here alone is to face yourself completely, stripped of distraction, surrounded only by light and silence. It's a place where nature and faith meet, where the boundaries between heaven and earth dissolve into a single breath of wind. As night falls, the temperature drops sharply. The desert cools, the wind stills, and an overwhelming peace settles over the dunes. A campfire flickers in the dark, its glow dancing across faces that have seen 1,000 sunsets. The scent of roasted bread, the distant hum of a flute, the crackle of fire all become one with the vastness around you. Here, under the stars of Tunisia's Sahara, you realize something profound. This is not an empty wilderness. It's a living, breathing world, one that speaks in silence, one that teaches patience, humility, and awe. The sands may shift, the dunes may vanish and reappear, but the desert remains eternal, unbroken, infinite, sacred. In its stillness lies a truth that words can never capture. Only the soul can understand it. Conclude with the soul of Tunisia, its people, its resilience, its warmth. Reflect on how a land so small holds infinite worlds. Roman ruins, Islamic artistry, Berber culture, and Mediterranean beauty all woven into one breathtaking story. Soft waves whisper against ancient shores. The wind carries the scent of salt and Sunday, and before your eyes, the coast of Tunisia unfolds, a living museum of civilizations, a meeting of blue horizons and golden sands. This is not just the edge of Africa, it's the beginning of history itself. The Tunisian coast stretches for more than 1,100 kilometers, a breathtaking line where the desert meets the sea, where history, beauty, and mystery intertwine. It's here that the story of the Mediterranean was written, carved into stone ports, ancient harbors, and whitewashed villages clinging to the cliffs. Every corner tells of empires, trade, and timeless rhythm of a land that has seen the rise and fall of worlds. The journey begins in Carthage, once the mighty rival of Rome. More than 2,000 years ago, this city was the heart of an empire that ruled the seas. Today, its ruins overlook the shimmering bay of Tunis, silent, yet still echoing with power. You walk among crumbling temples, marble columns, and stone baths that once welcomed the greatest minds and merchants of the ancient world. Beneath your feet lie layers of stories, Phoenician, Roman, Byzantine, each whispering a tale of ambition and loss. As the sun climbs higher, Carthage seems to come alive again. You can almost hear the clash of ships, the roar of markets, the prayers of sailors setting out towards Spain or Sicily. It's easy to forget that this was once one of the greatest cities on earth, and that Tunisia, centuries later, still carries its soul. Just beyond lies Sidi Bou Said, a place that feels like a dream, painted in blue and white. Its streets are a maze of cobblestones, each turn revealing new views of the sea. Blue doors, framed by jasmine flowers, stand beneath whitewashed walls glowing in the sunlight. Musicians play oud melodies in shaded cafes, and the scent of strong coffee and orange blossom fills the air. Artists have long been drawn here: Paul Klee, André Gide, and countless others, all captivated by the purity of its colors and the serenity of its light. Sidi Bou Said is more than a village. It's a feeling of timelessness, of peace, of belonging to something larger than yourself. As the sun sets, the sky turns rose and gold over the Mediterranean, and the call to prayer echoes softly from the hilltop. The sound merges with the wind and the waves, and for a moment, the whole world feels at rest. Further south, the coastline changes. The cliffs fade into dunes, and the towns grow quieter. In Hammamet, history takes on a gentler rhythm. Once a fortified fishing village, it's now one of Tunisia's most beautiful seaside havens. The sea here glows turquoise, washing against white sands and ancient walls. Inside the old Medina, life moves slowly, artisans crafting ceramics by hand, elders sipping tea under flowering trees. But step outside the walls, and Hammamet becomes something else entirely: palm-lined resorts, music drifting from beach cafes, and the soft hum of a Mediterranean night. Travel westward, and you'll find Bizerte, the oldest city in Tunisia, a living bridge between past and present. Its harbor, filled with colorful boats, has been active since the days of the Phoenicians. Fishermen still bring in the day's catch as they have for centuries, their nets heavy with sardines and dreams. Here, ancient stone forts rise above calm blue waters, and French colonial architecture stands beside Ottoman domes, a patchwork of history that somehow feels seamless. But perhaps the coast's most haunting beauty lies further down in Mahdia. This ancient port, once the capital of the Fatimid Caliphate, stands like a fortress between two seas. Its narrow peninsula cuts sharply into the Mediterranean, surrounded by waves on both sides. The Medina is quieter than most. Its silence, broken only by the flutter of laundry, the chatter of gulls, and the hum of sea breezes winding through stone alleys. At dawn, Mahdia feels like another world. Fishermen walk barefoot along the docks, the first light glinting off their nets. The sea turns silver, and the horizon fades into mist. Somewhere beyond, invisible but eternal, lie the trade routes that once carried gold, silk, and stories between continents. Further south, the coast opens wide, revealing Djerba, Tunisia's island of myths. Legend says Ulysses himself was enchanted here, lulled by the sweetness of the lotus fruit. Even now, Djerba feels otherworldly. Palm groves stretch to the sea. White-domed mosques rise from the sand, and narrow lanes twist through villages painted in soft blue. The island blends cultures like nowhere else: Arab, Berber, Jewish, African, all bound by a shared rhythm of sun and sea. In the village of Riyadh, murals cover the walls, an open-air gallery known as Djerbahood, where artists from around the world have painted their visions onto centuries-old stone. The result is stunning, ancient tradition meeting global imagination, echoing Tunisia's eternal balance between history and change. As night falls across the coast, lanterns flicker along the beaches. The waves glow under the moonlight, and somewhere, faint music drifts across the air, a melody that feels as old as the sea itself. Tunisia's coastline is not just beautiful, it's eternal. Every tide carries fragments of its story: the laughter of fishermen, the songs of sailors, the footsteps of kings. It is where the past breathes, where civilizations touch, where the desert finally meets its reflection in the sea. In this place where light meets water, and time flows like the tide, you realize something profound. Tunisia's true beauty lies not in what has been built or lost, but in what endures: the sea, the wind, the spirit. The journey ends here, but the sea, like Tunisia, never truly stops calling. From the golden silence of the Sahara to the white and blue calm of Sidi Bou Said, from the ruins of Carthage to the eternal shimmer of Djerba's sea, Tunisia isn't just a destination, it's a feeling. A heartbeat of history that still echoes beneath the sands. A song carried by the wind, by the people, by the stories that refuse to fade. You came searching for places that feel unreal, but what you found is something far deeper. A land that makes you believe again. In beauty, in time, in wonder. This is Tunisia, where the past still breathes and the dream never ends. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video.